Hello, this is Jason coming to you on behalf of ForPeoplesChoice.com. I was having a Facebook conversation with an individual the other day, and it was mainly focused on the electoral college, the popular vote, and everything else. And this individual kept referring back to it's worked for over 100 years. Why change it now? And all of the Hillary supporters are crybabies and all of that. And first, I made it clear to them that if they knew me, they knew that I didn't support uh, that other option either. But that's neither here or there. But in a generation to where we can pick up a phone and communicate with someone halfway across the world, why would we need a few hundred individuals to make a decision on something as important as the presidency? The Electoral College looks at different counties, and whichever county wins, they get all of those votes, or the state, they get all of those votes. But each individual's vote doesn't particularly count because the election isn't even finalized until the electoral college goes and puts their votes in, and you see that some individuals didn't even do what they were supposed to do in the midst thereof. um, what other election, what other elected office does just a few decide for the masses? That to me is antiquated, archaic, and needs to be gone away, regardless of who won or who didn't win or whatever the case was. There should not be a few hundred people deciding for the entire country, in my opinion. That individual kept saying, well, that keeps California and Texas and all of the big states. A state doesn't decide if each individual vote counts. One person can only vote one time. So if that count is done, then it's a done deal. And so this individual wanted to bring that up, but they've got to realize that they brought up the Constitution and all of that. They got to realize that certain people weren't even thought about in when it came to the Constitution. The way that it was laid out was to make sure that it was separated so that people that did still have slaves and did still have their own thoughts and ways um, couldn't be infringed upon by the government. But now we see that that's all that goes on is a few making all of the decision for the masses. We the people is starting to mean nothing at all. And if we continue to allow injustice to reign through our country, we're going to continue to go downhill. So until we can start educating ourselves on the real deals that are going on, we're going to continue to have these issues. So it needs to work from the top down and from the bottom up. So that means we individually need to get started and educated on the things that we need to do, but we also need to make sure that we put people in place and don't tell us our vote counts when it doesn't. Don't tell us that all of these programs or all of these systems are fair when they're not. All of these social reforms and all of this are, to me, just uh, a symbol of what should be, just like the Constitution is a symbol of what should be. All men are created equal, and that's why in that people of color were considered three-fifths of a man, because that way you don't have to see them as a person. You see them as property, just like in the prison industrial complex. You see CCA and all of these private uh, prison systems talking about people that are incarcerated as if they're assets and if they are commodities. So we've got to come together. I've got to do my part. We just all have to make sure that we come together and do our part towards educating one another.